So yeah, like I was saying, like you'll get like one or two that might like find a go off into a little corner and start smoking or whatever, and they'll be absolutely fine, if you see what I mean. They won't be like acting too crazy or too like, because they're like these seasoned kind of crackheads, you know what I mean, that they've been smoking for many years. But you get some of the other ones that you can see that they've not long become addicted to crack, but it's almost like you see it like within a few months you see a transformation, because I've seen it happen to a few people. And I remember this guy, I won't say his name, because I don't want to do that. But this guy that I used to know, he used to have um, his own. He had like a water ski, if you see what I mean. Like sorry, like a jet ski. And he had his own little business, if you see what I mean, running his jet ski business and this kind of thing. And he was doing quite well for himself, quite relatively well for himself. Not badly, yeah, and then all of a sudden, he was started smoking crack somehow, somewhere along the line, in his late 40s, early 50s. And then, within 6 months, he was literally almost, I think he was homeless. In like 6 to 9 months, he was homeless, mate. With nothing. Sold everything. To buy crack. You know what I mean? And I remember being young, and I remember being like, just going back to what we were talking about earlier, like being like, this is an example of something you don't ever want to become, if you see what I mean. And I remember thinking in my mind, like from that day forward, like, you can never allow that to happen to me, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, you do learn by other people, don't you? By watching other people.
It was just seeing that a few times throughout my life, you know what I mean? I didn't see it that often, but just occasionally from time to time throughout the years of me living there and seeing it, and every time I would see someone in that kind of position, they would always be in a certain way, like always in the same way, they're homeless or in some real bad way, and it just.
I mean, in Philadelphia, I've sort of seen the streets of Philadelphia.
In America, yeah.
In America, right, and it's really sort of like pretty awful.
Yeah.
There's people like standing like statues in the middle of the street.
Oh yeah, like seeing that like Frozen.
And it's like it's not like, it's almost like zombie, but they got no blood on them. Basically, it's quite horrible to watch in a kind of way.
Sad.
It's dirty. It's got rubbish everywhere, and it just looks like it stinks by just looking at it. If you see what I mean.
Well, whenever I see things like that, mate, it just makes me sad. Like and even if some people might be like, oh, it might have been because of their life decisions that they're in that position, and for some people not. But to me, that doesn't matter. Whether or not they mess their lives up, and that's why they're in that position, that doesn't even matter to me. Like, for me, that's just seeing someone in that position is just sad. Like, it's just.
I think we've all got choices, haven't we? Yeah.
It's devastating to watch, because it's just.
It is.
You just think to yourself, how could you help that person? Like,
you can't, in a kind of way.
You know?
Sometimes you can't help people.
True.
And sometimes you can't
change
their beliefs.
Not everyone wants to be helped.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like we've all got choices, yeah? And it's like me, I mean, I told you this story last week even, or whatever, that I separated from my girlfriend, who I had a baby with. And it devastated me, and I felt like ending my life at that time, yeah? But I had a choice of either going just drinking or going weight training, and it's kind of like two-part choice, and it's up to you to make that choice in any way, so I went that way. I didn't want to live on the go and go down and down, if you see what I mean, because you do. If you start drinking, you think, oh God, this is cheering me up, this is making me feel better, and next day you're doing it again, next day you're doing it again, and you end up sort of getting into a very big addiction, and at the end of the day, you're getting depressed because the drink's doing something to your head, and you're not behaving properly to other people either, your family or your friends, and your friends kick you out, and so on and so on, and your children don't even love you anymore, because your addiction, you're falling in love with your addiction so much, you're forgetting about everyone else in a kind of way.
And that's what happens when people get to that point of addiction where the only thing that matters is their addiction.
Mm.
That's when there's a big problem, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean? Okay, like for me, I smoke, yeah?
So do I.
But I handle all my shit, if you see what I mean. Like, everything in my life is taken care of. Like, I'm on top of all my priorities. I handle all my responsibilities. Everything that I need to handle and take care of in terms of looking after my family, in terms of providing and protecting and all these things that I have to do in my life as a man for my family, I do, if you see what I mean, and more. Plus, I'm working towards all of my goals as well.
Well, you don't smoke much either, do you, really?
But I smoke every day, but what I'm trying to say to people is, because it goes back to the whole discipline thing that we were talking about earlier, it's
control.
Control, it's like being in control of your life, being in
control of the things
I
you do.
I like to have a smoke every day, but I know that I can be productive, I can still get on and do everything that I need to do, because I'm responsible, if you see what I mean. But if I was the type of person that I like to have a smoke and I couldn't be, if it just put me down and made me kind of lethargic or, unproductive in any way, if you see what I mean, then it'd be better to leave it for when after you've done everything. Because that's maturity. It's being responsible. It's like, okay, I know when I have a smoke it makes me sleepy or drowsy or just want to be a couch potato and watch TV or whatever the case may be. Then when you've finished everything for the day, then have your smoke. Because then you're being responsible, aren't you?
I feel like you've got to reward yourself in life for things.
Yeah. So
even if it's sweet.
That's what I kind of do. Like during the week when I'm working, like once I finish my kind of like towards the end of my day, that's when I have a good smoke and then I head back inside and then the rest of the evenings with my family before I have to get up and go to work and start all over again in the morning. And then on my days off, then obviously I can a bit more relaxed. You know what I mean? I can go.
We do it with our children too. We give them little rewards, don't we?
Oh, yeah,
for being mature or behaving.
It's like even the other day I won't talk about it again too much because I talked about it in a recent previous episode. But my son did very well at school recently, and because he did so well straight away, the first thing that went through as soon as I saw his report card and we talked about it and everything, I remember straight away something in my head just told me he needs to be rewarded for this. So I was like, you know what? I said to him, like, go online right now. Because he's got a Nintendo Switch and he loves it. He's at that age where he loves playing it, if you see what I mean. But he doesn't play that often, but at the weekends he gets to play, if you see what I mean, when he's, if he's good, So I said straight away, just go online, find a game, doesn't matter how much it costs, find a game, and I'll buy it for you, straight away. Because the good thing with the Nintendo Switch, if you buy it online on the shop, within about 2 hours, he'll have the game and be able to play it, because it takes a little bit of time. Once you've bought it essentially, you have to download it, and then you can play it, if you see what I mean, within about 1 or 2 hours. And that's what I did straight away, because I knew that would make him happy, if you see what I mean, because that was and I even said to him, like, the reason that you've been rewarded with this, the reason that I felt inclined to do this, I mean, not that I don't, for his birthdays and Christmases and sometimes throughout the years I might buy, I spoil both my kids to a degree, but because he did so well, I just thought, straight away, like, he deserves something for this, if you see what I mean. And I just want him to, like you said earlier, that concept of understanding that when you work hard in life and you do things, there should be a reward, if you see what I mean, for achievement, so yeah.
We get rewarded for our maturity, don't we?
But I think it also
good behaviour.
Yeah, and I think it also instills in children from young that if they work hard, they achieve things. If you see what I mean, because you're every time they do something well at home as a child or as growing up in the household, you do something for them. They see that they're rewarded for all their hard work, whatever it may be, whatever academic thing it is, or whatever else they might be achieving in or excelling in. You reward them. So, and when they go out into the world, they will carry that same kind of mindset of, I go out here into the working world or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I work hard and I, put my best foot forward. The likelihood is that I'm going to succeed, and I will achieve my own achievements because of that. If you see what I mean.
I've just been thinking about sort of like the House of Commons.
Yeah.
When I see them, I just don't think they're acting very mature, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes I sit look at them and listen to them, and sound like children to me.
Yeah.
You know, and all this kind of stuff.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, sometimes I find, you know, I've got a lot of common sense with me. I mean, common sense is another subject, but I just got a lot of common sense, and sometimes I just see things like that, and I don't see much common sense, or I just see them behaving like children, like in a funny way, and I can't understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
When they're talking about very serious matters.
I know.
They're laughing and joking when everyone's sort of kind of like, I don't know, getting stuck and dying, whatever, in life. And I just find it bizarre, really, when I watch these people in the House of Commons behaving like there's nothing going on out here, if you sort of mean, or no one's having any problems out here.
The sad reality is, right, mate, and this is the way it's been for a long time. I'm not saying it applies to all of them, because it doesn't, but a large majority of these people,
silver spoons.
Yes. So they even if they think that they can relate to the average person, they can't.
It's spoiled.
They can't.
People.
Because we already know they can't relate to the average person, but you'll have some of them that will be in denial and be like, oh yes, I can relate to the average person, you know, I've got friends that, you know, might live in this place or that place. It's like, mate, no. Like, you cannot relate, if you see what I mean. Unless you've actually lived in that environment.
I don't think they've ever struggled to pay a bill.
But this is what I'm saying. A lot of them, most of their lives have been catered to and
live a different reality.
A different reality completely, very well looked after, like you say, kind of like a golden spoon. And that's not their fault. But all I'm trying to say is that the large majority of these people that are MPs and are part of the House and Commons, whether it be Tory, Labour, whatever else politician you want to name, a large majority of them, I'd say at least a good 75% of them, or maybe even 80%, cannot relate to the struggle of the average person, even if they try their best to, if you see what I mean. Even if you sit down with them, and even if you got someone off the street to sit down with them and tell them about their harsh struggles and everything, they'll try their best to relate, but the reality is that they couldn't, if you see what I mean. This is the problem. And until that happens, until you've actually got people in there that actually understand the struggle of the average everyday person that is living in whatever country it is that you're living in, that there won't ever be a change, because the only people that really know what people are going through and experience are able to bring issues to the table that are relevant to what people are actually going through in real time. Not, you know what I mean, old antiquated issues that that don't need to be discussed, that have no reference of what's, you know, currently going on. Like, it's, yeah.
I'd love to see a mature government, that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes I feel like there's not much maturity in that system, what I see today, that's for sure.
I agree.
I hope it changes soon.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
And it's like, the thing is with it is that what annoys me most about it is that these people, a lot of them also really believe that they are above the law. And all the information and everything that came out about Boris Johnson, and also the other guy that got fired for groping that, for having an affair with that guy's wife, you know, and being, you know, public photograph comes out, you know, came out of him, you know. Even the whole, even the lockdown parties, let's say, for example, that, you know, a lot of British people have been talking about, because it's been one of those things that were on the media for a long time. When it came out that they were having all these parties and, you know, flaunting the rules regardless of, you know, because the thing is that, like I was going back to what I was saying just now, is that a large majority of these people, because of their position in life, because of their power, because of their stature, because of how people have elevated them in society, they honestly and truly believe that they are above the law. A lot of them do. And that they can do what they want, they can say what they want, and they can just treat people however they want. And
they govern the police as well, you see.
Exactly.
So they are above the law.
Yeah.
If you ask me, they are. That's the thing. And a lot of them have got full of ego.
That's it. That's what it is.
And ego's real
Yeah.
damage to yourself if you can't see the light with ego in there. Any light.
Too much pride.
Yeah.
But there's an old saying that says pride comes before the fall.
Well, I think like
Pride comes. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Pride comes before the fall. Yeah.
But I think ego is immaturity. Would you not say? Or not? I mean, some people say you have to have ego.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have.
You got to sort of have drive.
Yeah, you have to have confidence. Self-confidence and self-esteem are very, very important. But like you said, a lot of these people do have ego, and a lot
too much ego.
And what it is prideful ego, if that makes sense. Excessive pride, if you see what I mean. You know, too proud, too.
Well, they think they're godlike.
Yeah, too. You know, the complete opposite of what you would consider someone who is kind of really humble to be, if you see what I mean. You know. Yeah.
That'd be another subject, wouldn't it, one day?
Oh, for
ego,
sure.
Whatever.
Yeah. But I think, like I was going back to earlier, I think honestly, it's just about the evolution of man. When I say man, that means both man and woman, of course. But it's just about growth, you know. To me, that's what maturity represents, growth, like just growing as a person. Like, the more information and experiences and everything else that you're exposed to, the more willing you are the more open to change you are, the better, I think, in life. The more open-minded you are in life, the better. Because, like, we might go through our lives sometimes thinking one thing is correct our whole lives, and then we might get to our 20s or 30s and realise, actually, you know, that thing that we thought was correct all this time in our life is actually wrong. It's, you know, we got some new information, some exposed to something new, something different, and realise, actually, no, that wasn't quite right, you know. So it's just about being able to be open-minded to knowledge and information, so that when it does come, that you're able to adjust your perspective, not be prideful or egotistical and feel hurt, if you see what I mean, within your pride, because you might have been wrong about something, or, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, it's being open to change, being open to having new perspectives, if you see what I mean. You know, not being stuck in one way of thinking. You know, yeah.
Do you think mankind is maturing as a whole, if you see what I mean? As each century, are we maturing or getting more immature? That's the question, isn't it?
I think we're maturing, definitely, but I think we're also becoming more immature because of social media today. I think we're getting to a point in society today, especially with social media, which is a large majority of most people's lives today, to be honest, as you know, let's be honest about it. And people today are doing anything for attention. And to me, that shows that we're becoming more and more immature, if you see what I mean. Loads of people are just doing the most outlandish, the craziest thing that they can possibly do for clickbait to get attention. And to me, that is one of the kind of notions that I kind of use to kind of like a metric to kind of gauge how immature we are as becoming as a society. When you analyse social media today and you go on like the explore page of, like, let's say Instagram or Facebook or any of these things, like a lot of it is like half naked women, if not naked, and all sorts of other shit, if you see what I mean. Society has changed. We have, you know, it's
even the movies that sometimes I watch. I mean, sometimes we watch a movie, don't we? Yeah, and we watched a film called, I think it's called Ketball, something like that.
Oh, but basketball or something.
Oh yeah, or something. Yeah. And honestly, it's just full of like immaturity. Like it's like 5-year-olds acting in it. And,
Yeah.
I can't explain it. You know, it just gave me a headache, and I just thought I'm too mature for this film. You know, I had
Yeah.
to switch it off. You know.
And I find that's what they do. They're doing that even more. Like even over the recent years, I found like even the last 5, 10 years that like they've dumbed down the music, they've dumbed down the films. It's all become very like you said, very very low level,
I just see a lot of the actors sort of acting very
childish. Yeah.
childlike.
And
Yeah.
even the humor is almost like directed to someone like a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
13-year-old.
Like when I'm
Maybe.
watching it, just gives me a headache. I mean, that film I watched yesterday about that basketball sort of game, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I just felt absolutely pathetic, and it, you know, okay, it made me laugh a couple of times, but overall, I just thought I was watching some children, you know, and there were adults acting, if you sort of mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some films that are mature, you know, and they're true stories, and they're written well, and they're played by mature people. There's a lot of films like that, but I see a lot of films that I can't believe that the way they're acting the kind of way, you know, it's just weird in a funny way.
But also, not go too much far off topic either, but I think a large part of becoming mature, especially as a parent, is being knowledgeable and understanding of the world today in which we live in, and understanding that world.
Having a good understanding of it.
And trying your best to protect your children from some of the things that these people are trying to, some of these agendas that
grow on you.
Some of these agendas that we won't mention, but people know what we're talking about. Some of these agendas that they try to push on people today, especially young people, young children and shit. It's just being mature as a parent is being knowledgeable of these things so that you can protect your children from them, if you see what I mean, and also educate them, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, knowledge is quite powerful.
Yeah.
Knowing the truth is powerful. Everyone's seeking the truth, aren't they?
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes a lot of people believe in something all their life, their lifetime.
Yeah.
Even for 70 years, you know, from the day they're born to 70 years, and it's not true what they believed in. That's a fact, you know.
And then something happens. Well, sometimes something happens, and people like have like a they call it like a eureka moment, where they call it like a moment of awakening. Yeah. Where they just all of a sudden like have like a parallel shift. You know, it's yeah. But I think as a society today, we need to become a bit more mature.
But how do we do that?
But I think we need to start. I'm not saying that we need to have like some overtly strict society and we need to like ban everything and we need to. I think what we need to do is somehow find a way where all content of a certain age is not accessible to minors.
What's that mean, sorry?
Where content of a certain age, anything over a certain age, anything over the age of 18, content-wise, is not accessible to minors, to young people.
On the internet.
On the internet, whether it be social media or whatever else. I think
they're trying to.
I think that'd be the best start. You've got to figure out a way in which you can stop people, especially young people, from having access to things that they're not supposed to have access to. If you see what I mean, you know. Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, I think as a society we need to try and become more mature as people. Get back to the real, the things that really matter in life, the true principles, the true realities of life, the true thing, having good morals, being a person of principle, being family orientated, being a good neighbour, a good friend, being someone who's reliable and accountable, someone who's trustworthy, someone who's loyal, respectful, loving, someone who's
No, that all takes time, doesn't it?
But this is what we need to get back to. We need to get back to having the core the core values. Like, don't get me wrong, technology is only going to continue to evolve from where we are at this point now. But we need, again, it goes back to finding a healthy balance. We need to. Social media is okay. No one is saying social media is you know, you can use social media, but don't allow it to control your life. Don't spend 8 hours of your life a day, 10 hours of your life a day on your mobile phone, staring at your mobile phone for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's not healthy, if you see what I mean, all day long.
Well, you've got to be yourself a bit in life. 5
to 7 days a week. You need to have a balance and say, okay, I'm going to spend a few hours a day on social media. I might spend an hour in the morning scrolling and looking through and see what's going on and updating myself about news or whatever else. And then, okay, I might spend an hour in the evening, if you see what I mean, online, having a look to see what's going on and whatever else. But it just goes back to everything, because like going back to, like you said earlier, we were talking about in the beginning with the whole addiction thing. Again, social media too also can become an addiction. And that's something that's quite prevalent in today's society.
Sometimes it can be a good addiction, though.
But you've got people, right, mate? I've seen people do it all the time. Yeah, I've literally seen people do it all the time, even at work. People will open Instagram or Facebook, scroll, and go on it for like 5-10 minutes on their break, and they'll be having their lunch. They'll be sat close to me, or whatever. We might be chatting. We might be having our lunch, whatever. Because our staff room's not very big. It's, you know, it's quite relatively small, so you're kind of within close distance to each other. So, you know, people chat, because also otherwise it's a bit awkward if you don't kind of, you know, even though I prefer the silence, but there you go. But yeah, you just be chatting. What was I saying?
I don't know.
I was trying to thought.
On your staff room or something.
But yeah, we've been
chatting in your staff room.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we were chatting in our staff room. And sometimes I realise to myself, like, some people aren't that mature.
That's right, yeah.
If you see what I mean, like.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I see it a lot.
And
I see that a lot.
And sometimes, like, it kind of is like, I don't know, maybe because I'm very, I feel I'm very mature for my age, and most people have always told me. I've always told me that. Most people throughout my life have always told me that.
I mean,
even my family.
I'm 57 at the moment, nearly 58, and you're kind of nearly half my age.
Yeah.
Whatever, and I feel like you're the same age as me in maturity, and that's another thing about maturity. You know, you can't really define it.
Nah. Yeah.
It's like you can't define wisdom really either. Sometimes you get a 5-year-old child who's quite wise and quite mature.
Yeah.
And quite understanding. Sometimes they even know quite a few languages, you know, at the age of 7, say.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and they're quite mature in thinking.
Yeah.
Somehow, only because they've been brought up correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
And educated in a very well manner. It's all to do with manners as well. And manners is another subject really, isn't it? But manners is very, very important to understand manners and how to behave really as a mature person. I can't remember what I'm talking about now.
Yeah. But then what you're saying is very true though. What you're saying is very true. Part of being mature is having manners and being polite and respectful.
Yeah,
conducting yourself in a certain way, so that wherever you go, wherever you meet, whoever you encounter, in whatever scenario, whatever environment, whatever situation, you conduct yourself in the right way accordingly to the situation. A part of that is